Alrighty, video number 3. This is going to be an absolute banger. This is my favorite topic, I guess. And the topic is it all starts with thought. So we're going to kind of start the process of figuring out why our thoughts literally control our life and just run our reality. So let me get the screen share going and we'll get straight to it. Okay. First slide. So I am actually going to read this out because this is a great little study that just summarizes what we're talking about. And there's some really, really interesting facts in here as well. So listen along. In 2005, the National Science Foundation published an article summarizing research on human thoughts per day. It was found that the average person has about 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day. It's heaps. Of those thousands of thoughts, 80% were negative and 95% were exactly the same repetitive thought as the day before. This is really, really important, a really important understanding and finding, and something that we're going to cover a little bit more in later videos. So the 95% were exactly the same repetitive thoughts. That's craziness. We can see that one of the tendencies of the mind is to focus on the negative and play the same songs over and over again. We'll do a little drill on this later. There was another interesting study in which scientists found that firstly, 85% of what we worry about never happens. Secondly, with the 15% of the worries that did happen, 79% of the subjects discovered that either they could handle the difficulty better than expected, or that the difficulty taught them a lesson worth learning. The conclusion is that 90% of our worries are baseless and result from an unfounded pessimistic perception. These baseless worries are a major source of stress, tension, and cause of exhaustion, not only for the mind, but also for the physical body. Now, this is a very, very important kind of conclusion on some studies, or just like an insight into our mind. As you guys all know, we have fear all the time. We have these crazy thoughts about life. We make up false events in our mind. So fear being a cool little acronym for fear I like is false events appearing real. And it's so true. Like most of the time, what we fear actually never happens. And when we do fear it, and say that it does happen, it's usually not that bad. It's usually fine. We overthink social situations. We overthink the dynamic between our friends, our family. We overthink like absolutely everything in life. And I think by taking more of a logical and trying to really control and learn to find as much control as you can over our emotional state and our emotions allows us just to think about things in a more logical, realistic way. And then we don't have these overthinking patterns and these crazy things going on in our head. So we definitely need to be aware of this pattern. We need to be aware of these thoughts jumping into our mind. Another way I like to kind of talk about these from a quote by Jim Kwik, or one of his things that he uses, is ants, automatic negative thoughts, which are things running around our mind all the time. So as soon as we find those ants, squish them straight away before they become a habit. Because like we've been talking about with habits, our actual thoughts are habits themselves. So when certain stimulus happen in life, we will have an automatic thought, an automatic habit that creates a thought process in our mind. If we have the ability to control these thoughts or catch them and change them to more of an optimistic, positive outlook on life, life's just going to be better. If we're always in a constant state of fear, life's going to seem fearful and bad. But if we learn to control our thoughts and think positively all the time, life's going to be a little bit better. All right, so I'm not going to read these ones. You guys can read that, but this is kind of like the cycle of thought, emotion, behavior. And it's really, really important. So the thoughts are like those habits that happen straight away. We presented with the stimulus, thoughts happen. Our feelings are created by those thoughts. So if we think a negative thought, we're going to feel a negative emotion. And then if we're feeling negative, tense, tight, sad, worried, anxious in our body, our behavior will be directly related to that feeling. So our behavior is either going to be angry or aggressive, or it's going to shut off, or it's going to be passive aggressive. But if we learn to have those optimistic thoughts and a stimulus happens, we have a positive outlook on it. We're looking at the brighter side of things. We're going to have a better feeling, a better emotion come up in our body. We're going to feel greater about the situation. And then from there, we're going to be able to act or behave in a way that's going to be just a better way of behaving. So say, for instance, you're a business owner. This is kind of an example of my own life. And a problem occurs because there's problems happening in business all the time. So a problem arises. Now, if I have a negative thought toward that and I'm like, oh, shit, this has happened. This sucks. We're never going to be able to fix it. Oh, and I start to worry and I freak out. And say, for instance, COVID, and I'm like, oh, what are we going to do? There's nothing that we can happen. We're going to have to shut down. We're going to have to close. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling stressed. My mind's racing 100 miles an hour. And then I might treat my staff wrong, or I might start crying, or I might start getting angry and snappy with my partner. And then that causes an argument. And then my day's ruined. And then things just elaborate from there. But if a problem occurs, say like COVID, and I just take a deep breath in, I think about the situation, what's in my control, what is not in my control. What can we do to fix the controllables? And the uncontrollables are what they are. We just go with the flow with it. Now I've taken control of my mind, my thoughts. I'm starting to feel the emotions better. Yeah, I've got control. I've got confidence. We can fix this. There's a problem. We're going to overcome it. Then my behavior is more relaxed. It's more grounded, and I can approach the situation with a much more level head. And I can start to think about ways we can work around it, or how we're actually going to, fix this problem that's arisen. And it's just going to be a much better outcome. I'm also seen as a better leader. I'm seen as someone that people can look up to, trust, someone that is going to be okay if things go wrong. And when you are a business owner, or you're in a situation like that, like a team captain or a leader of a sports group, these are the things we need to do. We need to control our mind, control our emotions, control our behavior. And more, we're seen as this grounded leader of a person that people can look up to and is always going to trust, because they've got a hold on things and they're not freaking out constantly. Okay, so what we're going to do next, guys, is just a couple of drills. So again, get that notebook out. You're probably going to have your own bit of paper. There's not a space in your actual journal for this one. So own pen and paper, either in an own personal journal you've got, or just some paper to write things down. Please avoid doing things in your phone and writing notes on the phone. It's much better. The physical act of writing reinforces it in our mind way more than typing on a phone. Just trust me on that one. You can even search some studies on it, but the act of writing, it reinforces in our mind. It's a much more conscious thing rather than just typing, plus less distractions. So first exercise is just a mind run. We don't need that pen and paper just yet, but what I want you guys to do is just kind of think of a song, get it stuck in your head. Think of a song that is super catchy. Maybe you've already got one at the moment. Or start to think of one, sing it in your head, and just get it kind of stuck in there. Now what you're going to do is just get rid of it. Get it out of your head. Get that whole song stuck in your head out, and just don't have it there anymore. If it comes back and you're like, oh, I can't get rid of it, that's fine. This is a cool drill to just practice. When I first heard this on a podcast, I was like, oh, wow, it's really interesting. Of course, we should be able to control that. Who's telling us that we can't control that song in our head? We're the ones that are in control. And if we can control something as simple as just getting a song out of our head when it's stuck there, we're in control of our mind. But if we can't get rid of it, that's not so good. It means we're not really creating the ability, or we don't quite have the ability to just control those thoughts, or control what you're thinking. So can you switch that song off or not? There's more examples out there, but that's just a cool one to kind of think about. Next time there's a song in your mind and you're like, oh, I can't get it out, and you want to get it out, just do it. Just get rid of it. Think of something else. You're in control. Okay, now next one, guys, you can see the questions there, so you can pause the video and do it yourself if you like, but I just want you to develop a little bit of self-awareness around that cycle, your thoughts, your emotions, and then your behavior around things like this. So how do you think, feel, and act when something goes wrong? At a social event, when you fail, when you're hungry, you get the hangries. A lot of us do. You have something important coming up. There is change in your life. Some people freak out with change and just don't handle it well. And something doesn't meet your expectations. This is a big one. There's a quote by one of my favorite mindset coaches. I listen to a lot of his podcasts. I can't think of his name. Not good, but basically he says, your happiness is the distance between your expectation and reality. So what he means by that is the greater the distance between your expectation and reality, the further your happiness is going to be spread. It means it's not going to quite be there. But if your expectation is close to reality, you don't mind so much, you're just going to be happier. So just a quick example, say like a movie, for instance, that you're really hyped and excited about that's coming up, and then you watch it and then it's not as good as you thought. Your expectation versus reality had a big distance, and so you're disappointed about it. But when you can kind of not have too many expectations about a movie, you're just excited in general, and then you watch it and then you can appreciate it in different ways. Hey, look, maybe the movie was crappy and it was just not that good, and then that's fine. You can just accept that. But that's just like a little example of sometimes we can be really disappointed in things if they don't go the way we think they're going to go. Sometimes they just are, they don't go right, and just accepting that that's fine. But when there's that kind of massive distance between your actual expectation and what actually happens, and then you get disappointed because it wasn't what you were thinking, that's not such a good thing. All right, that is it for this video, guys. Peace, big love, keep being epic. You guys are awesome. Stay on track with all these things in the challenge. Let's keep up the good work, guys. Big love.